LBAN familia, how are you? Welcome to a fantastic Tuesday. We have such an amazing event here to celebrate International Women's Month. And I know you're starting out with me, but don't worry, you're going to get to hear from Jennifer and our LBAN alumni, Beatriz Acevedo and Angelique Sina. But before we get to that, and it's going to be an exciting and fantastic talk where we're going to learn a lot about the hurdles and where they are in their successes. But before we get to that, I want to just give you an update of some of the things that LBAN is doing. So as you know, Cohort 11 is right around the corner. We are starting Cohort 11 May 5th, and applications are due this week. So if you meet our threshold of 1 million or more in revenue for the last year or have an external investment of $500,000, we want you to apply. We're going to send the links on the comments in the chats. And if you ever have any questions regarding our cohort program or scaling program, my email will be also on the chat, elian@lban.us. This week, we also have an amazing premiere of our 6-part virtual program for resources for Latinx business owners. And you don't want to miss this. This is free for anyone that's a business owner that wants to attend, that wants to get those resources. We're going to put those links on the chat as well. If you haven't registered, you want to register. The first part of that series is this Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, where we're going to hear from Jimmy at Bank of America what the economic status is going to be, what the updates, what does 2021 look like for your business, for the economy. You don't want to miss it. We're also going to have a networking session. And that series is going to continue into April and May with some capital building resources, which are must-haves with the economy. So again, I don't want to take too much time away, but I definitely wanted to bring up Cohort 11 applications are due this week. Those are in the chat. The 6-part series, that's in the chat. And now let's talk about this fantastic event. And I want to introduce and bring up to the stage our interim CEO, Jennifer Garcia, to talk more about this International Women's Month event and how our LBAN Latina alumni are here to talk to us and tell us more.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Elian. Thank you for those announcements. Good morning, Facebook, friends, and family. I am really excited to be here on this Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon for those of you in the East Coast. I just say welcome. You know, we talk so much about International Women's Month, and it's just really an opportunity to slow down and pause and think about, celebrate and acknowledge all of the things that are happening amongst women, all of the accomplishments, achievements, celebrations, and specifically as we think in this past year, a year of pandemic, how women have had to really adjust and transform and become teachers and parents and playmates and, you know, all the other things while still maintaining their professional hat. So, you know, to all those women out there, I just want to celebrate you today. You certainly deserve to be celebrated more than one day out of a year, but certainly as we talk about International Women's Month today, you should be celebrated. So I want to invite my guests on stage. So if we could bring them up, I am just honored to be amongst these rock star of phenomenal women from all the corners of our country, all the edges of our country. We have Angelique Sina, who is the president of Friends of Puerto Rico. And we also have Beatriz Acevedo, who's the CEO and co-founder of Sumo Wealth. So let me just pass it over to them for just a moment, and I want to allow them to give their formal introduction. So Angelique, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Beatriz, and happy International Women's Month. I'm super excited to be here and celebrate all of the accomplishments that us as women entrepreneurs have made and take some time to reconnect, because I think that's also important. I'm the president of Friends of Puerto Rico and Cafe Ama Love. And I'm right now in Puerto Rico, so I'm enjoying some great weather and some golf later. And awesome. I was on LBAN Cohort 6.
Great. Thank you, Angelique.
Hi, everybody. My name is Beatriz Acevedo. I am proudly representing Cohort 7 here today. I am an immigrant entrepreneur. I am a very big advocate for equality. I'm a very big advocate for the ROI of diversity, obviously not as charity, but as good business. I pivoted in a crazy way this year with COVID. My whole career has been in media and in digital entertainment, and I started a company at the intersection of entertainment but finance. So a fintech company that has an angle of entertainment to make it easier for our community to understand. I'm incredibly excited to be here. I am the biggest fan of this LBAN program. So anytime Jennifer or Ilian call me, I'm there. So I'm here this morning, excited to share my experience, both with the program and with what I'm currently doing. So thanks for inviting me, Jen.
Thank you. Thank you both for that introduction. And I just want to say to any listeners that might not know what cohort 7, cohort 10, cohort 11 is, and this program that we're talking about, it is a Latino scaling program out of Stanford Graduate School of Business. It is for entrepreneurs who really have the desire to take their business to the next level. So Angelique and Beatriz were both participants of that. But I also want to say, as you can see, it is not just a program, right? It is not an 8-week program and you're done. It is now an ecosystem that they are part of, an ecosystem of scaled entrepreneurs. And so it's really exciting to be able to connect with people, as you can see, from all edges of the country here, and really share resources, network with one another, create opportunities for collaboration, and uplift one another. So again, I'll put the plug. If you're interested in applying, if you're an entrepreneur, I encourage you to take a look at the link in the chat for our upcoming cohort, which starts in May. All right, so as we talk about International Women's Month, the theme this year is choose to challenge, right? When we challenge, we become more alert, or we're more alert of our world, and from challenge comes change. And that's everything from gender equality to raising awareness against bias, taking action for equality. And I know just the two of you, based on what you do, you have already achieved an incredible amount of success. But not only that, you really are working, and your organizations really are working to make equitable communities. And so I would love for each of you to just share about the work that you're doing. And so Angelique, if we start with you, share about the work that's happening in Puerto Rico, and then Beatriz, if you can share your pivot as well.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Jennifer, I love the theme Choose to Challenge, and with the work that we're doing at Friends of Puerto Rico and coffee. And you're probably thinking, how does these two things tie together? And I'll tell you, Puerto Rico grows delicious coffee. And we believe that entrepreneurship is what the island needs to move our economy. So we have programs for women and girls, and we use coffee as their learning tool so that they can become entrepreneurs. And I'll share something that happened 2 days ago. We were in Old San Juan in our marketplace, where we have kids that are 9 years old and to 13, and they have small businesses. And we had a girl that came for the first time. And she was so shy. Imagine 10 years old, thousands of tourists, and you're just there for the first trying to make your first sale. And I told her, don't worry, you are going to sell. You're going to be able to sell one of your paintings today. And she was so terrified. I said, come with me. Let's go for a walk. Let's warm up. Let's talk to some of the strangers. And I told her, it's okay to talk to strangers because you're an entrepreneur. You must talk to strangers. And I told her, go, continue walking, talk to them. And then she came back and she said, I had my first sale. And I think that ties so nicely with the Choose to Challenge theme, because it doesn't matter at any age where we're from. Obviously, right now, I feel excited and blessed to be in a virtual room with two very successful Latinas that I admire, with you, Jennifer and Beatriz. And we do that actively in our programs. It doesn't matter who we work with. Sometimes we do work with men and we have boys in the program. But when it comes to women, we must continue challenging each other and supporting each other in a positive way.
I want to say, Angelique, I know that you leveraged the LBAN ecosystem and you brought mentors, scaled entrepreneurs, right, to mentor your young entrepreneurs. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Yes, I have to say that the LBAN community is truly a family, because I use the Mobilized community, which is an app that we have we ask for absolutely everything. And usually everybody responds. But when I was needing mentors, especially when the pandemic hit, our programs continued to run, but we had the opportunity to bring in amazing resources from California, from New York, and the LBAN community responded. And I know that if Ramon from my cohort, he still mentors a woman in Puerto Rico. So it's just endless possibilities, but that support is essential. And when I was an LBAN alumni, I was really fortunate to have an extraordinary mentor that I continue to ask for many favors and advice. And that's something that it pushes, it moves the needle, but also helps you get uncomfortable enough so that you can do the things that you couldn't think were possible.
That's great. That's that concept of paying it forward, paying it back, right? I always say that there is opportunity to help others rise. And so it's great that you can leverage a network of scaled entrepreneurs to help your aspiring and young entrepreneurs grow as well. Fantastic. Beatriz, tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing with Sumo Wealth.
Yes, of course. Well, listen, the pandemic, we know the numbers, we know what communities got hit the hardest. This was not an idea that I personally had for this company. Like, as I said, I come from media and marketing, but my co-founder, Javier Gutierrez, who's a very big supporter of the LBAN program, had this idea to launch a fintech company at the intersection of entertainment. And he really wanted to convince me to run this company. And I thought, no, like, I know nothing about finance. There's no way I'm going to be running some fintech company. But he would send me articles every single day during the pandemic, just, saying, look, the little wealth our community had, it's lost. Latinos don't have these emergency savings accounts. And it went both ways, both on the personal finance and on the entrepreneurship side. And, every day. And it just felt like, wow. And there was also so many questions from our community. As you guys know, you guys did an incredible job. And I was on all those webinars, how do you apply for a PPP loan? Like, what's going to be forgivable? But our community in general that didn't have access to that, they just were very, very lost. A lot of friends of mine who are small business owners who are not yet scaled, but they still had the same issues. So it just felt like everything came together at the right time to launch this company that right now looks like a content company, but it is a fintech company. We are building our product, and very proudly with one of my cohort 7 colleagues, with Jorge Garcia. He has a company called Hello Iconic, and he's building our entire product, which we're so proud. It's going to be a financial checkup that we're launching next month, and it's going to be free, because you can't improve what you can't measure, as we know. So we need to know where is our financial health today in our community, and then we'll be able to give you everyday tips in your phone, via WhatsApp, via text, however it is, so you can start improving your finances. So I'm very excited that I get to use my skill set as a community builder, as a marketer, as somebody who scaled a business before, at least audience-wise. And now, I'm in that sort of like learning seat as well on, everything about developing my own product and everything regarding finance. But I'm incredibly blessed that I have Jorge, my colleague from LBAN, really holding my hand along the way with his team. So I'm also utilizing a lot of people from, Contavi, your own husband, Jen, who was amazing. He taught us a dinero session class last month, because our community, again, has so many questions about taxes. So I'm always utilizing my colleagues from LBAN. I'm excited about what we're building. And obviously, and the mission is to help, of the company, which I haven't said, is to help close the wealth gap in our community. Today, we only have 20 cents to the dollar when it comes to wealth compared to white families. And, the stats that we are the cohort that spends the most are great, but I want us to be the stat of the cohort that saves the most and invests the most as well. We just need that so the American economy can continue to thrive and actually survive. America needs Latinos to survive as well and to thrive. So anything that I can do con mi granito de arena to help close that wealth gap. And I'm doing it any way possible that makes it easy, accessible, fun, entertaining. We're working hard on that, but we're very excited with the initial response from our community.
That's fantastic. And I do have to say, when my husband was doing some of these collaborations with you, I was looking at your website and I could certainly see the Beatriz flavor in there, right? I found myself looking at these articles and clips of articles, and immediately, like, it was entertaining. It was enjoyable to read the content. Tell me, so I noticed that your website is like Spanglish, right? A lot of the content is Spanglish. Tell me who your target market is and why are you going this Spanglish route?
Yes, sure. Listen, we want to serve all Latinos, right? We all need to close the wealth gap in every generation. But particularly in the US, we know that there's always a Sherpa, the person that sort of helps navigate the whole family, right? That's been translating the American ethos literally and figuratively for their families forever, sometimes since they're little kids, helping inform purchases, translating and demystifying and all these things for the family. So we are focusing on those super influencers in the family who tend to be millennials or now the older Gen Zs in the family. So we know that if you help them and arm them with the information, you are reaching many in the family. So that's why we want to start with them. And these bilingual, bicultural are 81% of the US Latinos in the United States. So I think people have the perception, if you're Hispanic, if you're Latino, if you're Latinx, you are older, you're immigrant, you're Spanish dominant, like me, but that's not true. We are only 19% of the entire cohort. So if you arm that other 81% of the bilingual, bicultural, we know that they are the ones guiding their older family members, parents, grandparents, tios, tias, but also as they become parents themselves. They'll do the same with Gen Alpha, with their own children. So that is our demographic. And like I said, it's very bilingual, bicultural. So that's how you see some Spanglish in our site. We do have a full Spanish, only Spanish site as well. And we will have all our products just in Spanish, really much more to help them as they help their older family members navigate the finances. We want to have those services available to them. But we also want it to be authentic to the experience. A lot of us, we switch between English and Spanish. There are things that we say in one or another language. And we want it to be very intentional that when you look at our site, when you use our products, when you use our calculators or any of our financial tools, you feel that they were built for you, right? That sense of belonging is very critical in our community, particularly when it comes to finance. We have so much distrust in financial institutions because of the generational trauma of our countries of origin that we've all lived through, or at least our parents or grandparents, and it still stays with us. So the distrust, we need to first build the trust in our community. So telling you very directly, this is for you. You belong in this money conversation. Everything that we do is done by Latinos for Latinos like you is very important. And language and images and everything that we do really matter.
That's wonderful and so true. So I just really want to commend you both, because the work that you're doing is so important for our community. So thank you for being brave. Thank you for pivoting. Thank you for walking into uncharted territories and leaving the comfort behind and walking into fintech for you, Beatriz.
Yeah, it's been scary. I have to say, I was talking to another fellow entrepreneur yesterday, and she's like, sometimes I'm in these calls and I don't understand some things. I'm like, oh, no. Like, I've been mortified beyond working overtime, learning, enrolling in as many online classes as I can, leaning hard on my colleagues. Like I said, Jorge's a lifesaver. And being vulnerable to say, I don't know, right? That for me, it's hard because I felt like I had such a grasp on what I did know, which is content and media for so many years, that to start something that's definitely a departure from that. There's a lot of what I did that I apply here, but there's a big learning curve for me. And I'm in my 50s, I'm not young. So that's also a message for everybody even thinking of enrolling in the LBAN program. It's never too late. You're never too old to learn or to pivot or to seek support and to say, I don't know, and I need help. So that's definitely been something different for me, but I'm enjoying tremendously.
Fantastic. I want to take a moment. I know that for most women, it is difficult for us to, pat ourselves in the back or toot our own horn, right? We're typically a little bit more reserved when it comes to our own accomplishments and achievements. And I really want to give both of you the space to talk about that today. So Angelique, let's start with you. If you think about, maybe the last year, what accomplishment, ever so big or small, do you want to celebrate?
Wow, Jen, this is something I struggle with.
Yeah.
As most women do.
That's a tough question. That was not in the prep question, so everybody knows.
It's a little curveball.
Spontaneous. Well, I'll say two things. One is that when the pandemic hit, I didn't know what to do, but we gleaned towards the coffee business of the enterprise, and that was very positive. People were at home drinking coffee, and we said, well, we can really push e-commerce. So that was something that gave us, it was a real pivot. Mm-hmm. And the second part is that for maybe 2-3 years, I've been thinking that we wanted to purchase a property for the coffee, and we were able to do that recently. So, and I remember writing it down in my whiteboard. If you ever visit my home in DC, you'll see that I have a whiteboard. And 3 weeks ago, I looked at it and I said, I'm only missing one of those goals, but it's in progress. So that made me realize that you must write it down, you must work for it and celebrate it. But I have a very hard time speaking about my accomplishments because I don't want to be known specifically for all the maybe medals and ribbons that we used to get maybe from being a child now to being a grown-up. So I prefer not to talk about it, but I do celebrate my accomplishments in my own way with my immediate family, with my BHAG group. And I try to celebrate a lot of the wins of others because I think that we get a lot of, as entrepreneurs and giving all the different leadership styles that we all bring, we must celebrate each other. I want to celebrate Beatriz and her new company when I saw that it launched, and I probably responded to one of your posts on social media. The same for Jennifer. And I think that is something that we should do collectively as part of our community.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important that we talk about it, right? Because right now the three of us we're acknowledging that it's challenging to talk about our own accomplishments. But I really think that's a cycle that needs to change, right? Our women, we want our daughters to grow up strong, knowing where they succeeded, knowing where their team helped them, knowing where they still have areas to grow and feel confident in both of those arenas. And I celebrate you, Angelique, for visualizing your goals and moving towards them and accomplishing those in such a challenging time period. So congratulations.
Thank you. And Jennifer, let me add something if I can. There's all these funny things about being gold diggers, right? A lot of women, their parents tell you, grow up and marry a rich man. It's I realize I am a goal digger, GOAL.
Whoa, I love it.
And I feel like a lot of us really are. We have those lists of not only the to-dos, of the things that we want to accomplish. So I'm putting my own twist in the word.
I love it. I love it. Or I love when people say, be the CEO your mother wanted you to marry. It's yes.
Tell us about you, Beatriz. What accomplishments
you know what? I'm going to go with personal accomplishments first, more than professional. But for me, I tend to put myself last on the list of to-dos. I am definitely no poster child. And people are tell us about your self-care. I'm oh, no, don't ask me that question. I'm a mom of teenage twins. I'm super happily married. My mom lives with me since my dad passed away. We have an adorable dog that we rescued. So there's a lot to do in my household. So my to-do list tends to be at the end for me. But I was able during the pandemic to really put my health first. I was able to lose 40 pounds, which I desperately needed to lose. But more than the weight was really how I was, committing to exercising, getting on that peloton in the morning or sometimes at midnight and saying, I'm going to do it for my mental health, eating much better and much more balanced. So that's been great, just meditating constantly. So I'm very proud that for once in my lifetime, I put myself first. I tend to put my company and my family first, and then I go on that list. So I would say that's definitely my biggest accomplishment, and spending time with my kids that I rarely had time to do when I was working 15, 18-hour days. So walking the dog with them in the middle of the day is such a luxury. And they're teenage twins and they're in high school and they still like me. So I think that's my biggest accomplishment. Professionally, awesome. I would say, just as nervous as I was and as anxious as I was to pivot into a completely unknown area in my life professionally. I'm proud that I did it. I was very concerned about raising capital because, it's the middle of a pandemic. It's the middle of an economic downturn. It's a few weeks before the election. So people are like, are you out of your mind trying to do this? And, I was able to do it in a few weeks. It was an oversubscribed round. We raised almost triple than what our goal was. And just incredibly blessed that, I had that privilege. And I do say the word privilege because I know I am in that, 0.36% of being a woman, an immigrant, a Latina, being able to raise capital for a company that I have nothing proven that I can deliver on. Thank God it's going great. But also a big responsibility. I'm very proud of the fact that 95% of my investors are Latinas. There's very few Latinas in venture, and I think I probably have them all in my cap table, or most of them. So who is in your cap table also really matters. And I'm proud that, they're all supporting a vision that is very personal to them, to help our community really level their wealth and really start closing on that cycle that we've had of, not saving and not investing and not thinking about our future. So I think between both of those, I'm super excited that I was able to do that. But the personal is a bigger accomplishment for me.
They are both huge accomplishments. Like I always think too, every time you get on a plane and if you're traveling with small kids, the flight attendant says, make sure you put your mask on before your children. Like, yeah, it is so critical in a moment, in a year when, life has just been flipped and spinned around for us, and personal and professional is blended, and there's no division there. So great job. And also, I just want to say, I love this phrase where people say, actually my mentor used to tell me this all the time, like, just jump and grow wings on the way down. Just jump and grow wings. And I think of your story, Beatriz, and that's you. Like, maybe not the background and the industry experience, but you just did it, and you'll find your way and you'll find your rhythm, and it will be successful. So great job. For any of the viewers that are listening, these are such amazing stories of entrepreneurs, of Latinas in this, just talking about their own successes. So if you have questions, I invite you now that go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll be taking some Q&A in just a moment. But if you want to hear specifically from Angelique or Beatriz, go ahead and put your question in the chat. Here's a question for you, for both of you. You are both graduates of the Stanford Latino Education Scaling Program. You had an opportunity to get a Stanford education certificate from the executive education department, really learn and sit in the classroom with Stanford professors, be part of a network of growth-minded entrepreneurs. And I want to recognize that is such an opportunity, right? And not everybody is afforded that same opportunity. As we're currently recruiting for our next program, our next scaling program, what would you say for people who are probably still in a challenging place with their business, uncertain where their business is going to be, still living in an environment when their kids are at home with them and there's just so much on their plate, and they might be thinking to themselves, how can I do anything more? Like, how can I pick up a book and read at this point? Angelique, what would you say to someone who might have hesitations about participating in a program at this time?
Wow, Jen, you hit it right in the needle, because we as entrepreneurs and co-founders and founders, we must make time for the important, and they're just things that these opportunities don't come again. The timing will never be right, because we will be always doing super important things. And I say this to all the women. I know Elian will love hearing this. I actively look for women. I tell them, network. Stop watching Netflix. Do not look at social media. Go network and apply to these programs, because they're life-changing. So I hope whoever's thinking of applying and is not sure, they must apply, because every year it is tougher and tougher to get in. You can make the revenue, but I believe that LBAN has other very important characteristics that they look for, because the entrepreneurs get better and better every year.
Yeah, all of you. All of you. Beatriz, would you add any?
Yes, I'm such an advocate for the program, as you know, Jen. Like, I talk to, just like Angelique, to women and men, but primarily women all the time about the program. And somebody asked me, like, how hard is it? How many hours? I'm like, first of all, it's at your own pace, right? I mean, there's things you have to do during the week, but you can get organized. Wake up an hour earlier, get on that bike and put a desk. And I did mine with audio. I downloaded everything in audiobooks. I know you get the books from the program, but in my drive home, maybe now you're not driving home, but you're doing something else, and you can have the audiobook, and then I would take notes there. There, where there's a will, there's a way, right? So I really, and if you're thinking, like, if your mind is thinking, well, I don't have time, or like, this is just making you better, a better entrepreneur, a better business owner. It's not to work harder. It's to, work better, right? In a way. So you'll grow, but it doesn't mean you're going to have to add so many more out. You'll be able to figure it out. That's all I'm saying. It's an incredible, because you have all these mentors, and you work on your own business. So you're not working on theoretical things or taking dictation, like when we were in, like, I don't know, this is what I did in, like, college in Mexico. They would just dictate you for hours. I'm like, why am I here? That is not the case. Every single case study is based on your own business, which is amazing, because you are working on your business. So you are at work as you are doing these programs. The other thing I want to say, and I'm not going to say what Ivy League school I did my other program at, Elian knows, and he mentioned it once. I'm like, don't say it. But I did a fintech program during COVID, because obviously I knew nothing about fintech, and now I was the CEO of a fintech company, and it was very rigorous. It was a certificate program, and the university is unbelievable, right? As comparable as Stanford, total Ivy League school. And it was incredibly frustrating to do this program for me personally. I had to over-explain time and time again to my very talented professors why Latinos matter. What was the difference between an immigrant Latino and a US born Latino? Why who I was catering to was not the immigrants and anything I would explain, they would just go back to their unconscious bias, I'm going to call it that, and be like, well, you should go to the consulates and grab people there to your, and I'm like, no, like, I super serve like US born American Latinos. Why would I need to go to a consulate from another country? They're Americans. And this was over and over in the program. So I always said, like, there's nothing like feeling at home with the LBAN program. You have the top professors from an institution like Stanford, but everything, they get you. You're right, that they know why our community matters. They know why entrepreneurs like us need to succeed for the sake of the economy in our country. So it's a very different feeling when you are among family. And I know Angelique said that at the beginning, and it is family, and you continue to work with each other, and the support and the energy and the passion that we all have for our own businesses, for one another, to support one another, is nothing that I've felt in any other program that I've done. Certainly, I compared everything in my recent fintech certificate to LBAN, and I'm like, not even close, not even close. And it was good. It was good academically, but it was missing all that heart. It was missing all that emotion. It was missing so much, right? I've never really been a part of a program as exciting and as useful, not just on the business side. I was saying that to someone the other day. It also teaches you so much of the soft skills that people say, what do you mean? I'm like, the first day, everything about the EQ on like, what is your North Star? I would have never thought I would go to Stanford to learn, but it is critical. If you don't know what your values are, what you stand for from day one, how you pick a co-founder, how you pick an investor based on where you want to go and what is a yes or a no to you as a human before as an entrepreneur is so critical. So it teaches you both things. And I was so surprised that it gave so much weight to the EQ side of being an entrepreneur. So listen, I could speak here for hours about the program, and that's why I get picked all the time. But if you can apply, if you have that revenue, if you have raised that capital, there's nothing better that you can do than apply to this program. I absolutely would encourage you to do it.
Thank you. Thank you. Beatriz, as you were speaking, I was thinking about how many people describe their experience that first day in a classroom, and they look around and they're sitting in a Stanford classroom and there's 79 other entrepreneurs, Latino and Latinas in this room. And they're like, where else do I experience scaled entrepreneurs, 80 of them in the same room who are successful, who are wanting to grow even further. So
it's so exciting because, and Angelique, and Jennifer, I hear a lot about this. Just yesterday, I was having this conversation with another CEO, and she's saying it gets really lonely, right? And we all know it. So when you're there and you're like, this is home, like this feels like home, this is familia, right? There's no other feeling. So it's really, really incredible.
Fantastic. All right. So I want to just, as a moment, I want to invite people, because I'm sure there's listeners right now that are saying, this program sounds amazing, but I'm not at $1 million, or I haven't secured $500,000 in external funding. And we recognize that, right? We recognize that there are so many businesses, small businesses, entrepreneurs out there that still need the support, still need a network, still need resources to grow and scale their business. And that is in part why we launched our six session series. It is throughout the course of the year. So over 6 different sessions, we're going to bring a mindset component, a growth mindset component. We're going to talk a lot about capital, because we know that access to capital is critical and important for growing your business. We're going to talk about a network and growing your client base and retaining your client base in a time when everything feels different, right? And then, of course, we're really working to resource these small businesses. And so, again, we're going to go ahead and put that in the chat. If you are a small business owner, and that, you define what that might be, but this program is free. We welcome you to register. We welcome you to invite your restaurant on the corner, your taqueria on the corner, right? These are the businesses that we really want to impact and make a difference in our community. All right, well, let's go ahead. Elian, if I could bring you back on screen. I know that there's been some comments in the chat and questions in the chat, and I'd love to just give an opportunity for the audience to ask their question to Angelique and Beatriz, if you could help me with that. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Wow. A year after, and I still don't learn.
It'll keep happening to all of us.
So we're getting a lot of comments. We're seeing some great just viewers and engagement. So one of the questions that we received was, with so much that has impacted Latino-owned businesses, and Jennifer was just talking about kind of that taqueria next door, they've been so heavily impacted. How can our community, and Beatriz, you also talked earlier about kind of the power, that the Latino spending power that we have. So one of the questions here is, what would you recommend for the Latino community to do to help Latino-owned businesses? What would be an action or some things that they could do to come together for those local community businesses? And this is for both of you.
I'm happy to go first, or you want to go, Angelique?
Go ahead, Beatriz.
I mean, there's so many things that we can do, right? First of all, if you can and you have the means and you can support the business, support the business, right? Whatever it is, whether it's coffee or whether it's your favorite store or restaurant around the corner, support those businesses. That is the very best you can do. It's like when people say the way, you want to support Black and Latinx, communities, hire us, right? Like pay us fairly. So this is the same with our community. If you have a choice to, go to this restaurant or this other one that is Latino owned, I always make my choice to always support my community first. I always also make a choice to try to hire from my community first. There's so many talented people in our community, and I go out of my way, even if it takes me longer to find them and it's not the easiest choice, I do it. If you are saying, well, I've been furloughed, I don't have a job, I can't go out anymore, there's so many other things you can do. Give a great review, support on their social media, like, comment, share. We have posts that give like lists of 15 different things that you could do to be supporting your local, mentor somebody, right? Like so many people were like, I don't know what furlough is. Can I still collect unemployment if it's not? What you always have something to give that somebody needs. So find that in you, and it does not need to be money. It does not need to be capital, but an advice, a connection, a word of just encouragement. So many things that we can do to support our community. And I think we need to do a better job doing that, to be honest. I think the younger generations are doing a better job. I think because there's been so much scarcity within our own community, on the older generations, right? Boomers, Gen Xers like me, people tend to be like, no, like, this is my place. And it's like, yeah, no, you need to open that door to the next generations. I always, something that's not directly to supporting a business, but supporting a Latino or a Latina. When I'm invited to speak and I see there's no more Latinos or Latinas, I always give a long list of somebody else who needs to be on that stage and that needs to have their voice heard. Whenever I can, I bring particularly Latinas to boardrooms. I'm in a privileged place where I'm in a lot of boards and I don't see other people like me. So I ask for permission to bring them even as observers, right? So Latinas start getting that training to be in the boardroom. If we're not at the top where decisions are being made, it's very hard to create the change that we're going to need very soon. So there's so much to do. But on the small business owners, first of all, with your wallet, that's the best support. If you, for any reason, cannot afford it, then do the review, do the social media, do the word of encouragement, help somebody with whatever skill that you have that they could be needing. And the thing I want to tell everybody, it feels so good. When you give back, it feels so good. Some people say you're so lucky, like you've been so lucky in your life, and I have been very lucky, but I have to say I'm also very generous with my time for others. I show up for others a lot, and I don't do it because I feel, oh, maybe the universe is going to give so much back to me, but it has, right? So it feels great to give back. We all have something to give. And I really encourage us at a time like now, but forever, to be united and to support one another. And something that LBAN says, to do business with each other, always.
Inspirational there, Beatriz. Thank you.
You said it all, Beatriz. The only thing that I will add is I go directly to any business that I walk into.
I think Angelique's connection might have frozen.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, now we hear you.
Okay. That I said you said it all, and it's all fantastic. The only thing I would add is that when I go directly to the small business owners, I tell them, did you apply for EIDL? Did you apply for PVP? Did you do this? And in my case, because of who we serve, I think like 6 out of 10 have not. And I beg them, I tell them, please, if I need to sit with you to do this or tell my account, I will. Because otherwise there's just like so much misinformation and lack of information and lack of digital access. So I agree with everything that you said, but I actively ask them because we cannot lose these opportunities.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing those ideas. I'm looking at the chats here and everyone's giving you a spot on. There's a thumbs up and the likes to all of your comments. I just want to say, as we wrap up today's session, I just want to say thank you both, Angelique and Beatriz. Thank you not only for being here this morning, which certainly we are grateful for your time to speak with you this morning and to highlight you, But more importantly, I want to say thank you for what you're doing for our community in Puerto Rico and Bea here in, you're reaching nationwide. So thank you. I think the work that you're doing is extremely important. Thank you for staying plugged in and connected to the LBAN network. I've heard so many times you reference, both of you referencing colleagues, in your cohort or in other cohorts. I think that is extremely important and valuable. That's where the value of being part of this ecosystem really comes into, is we're lifting each other up and we're creating opportunities for each other. So again, thank you for that. To everybody listening, happy International Women's Month. I encourage you to walk out today and encourage another Latina, another woman, celebrate them for their successes, create an opportunity for them to learn and grow and stretch. I loved how Beatriz mentioned, like, I bring them in so that they could see how it's done, where the decisions are made. That is certainly how we lift one another up. So thank you for that. And again, thank you for being here this morning. So with that, we will sign off and say Happy International Women's Month.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Bye,
Good seeing you. Bye, amiga.
Bye. Wonderful seeing both of you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.